I wanted to be honest, but honesty is a terrifying thing to make present when you don't have context for it. Who are you? What have you done? Where were you taught? There are many parameters that make up what I would call the codex of an individual. And I believe that all of these parameters are necessary to understand honesty, whether that honesty is opinion that foundates an individual's purpose or the answer to a question. To me, honesty is something I desire to communicate, but being honest is hard for me when I know people might misunderstand my intentions. When I'm angry, sad, or frightened, I may speak aggressively. When I do, I don't want people to misunderstand the honesty with which I deliver myself to my audience. In those moments when I lack clarity, I want to present a framework that clearly identifies where I stand, which parties I can choose to support, and, should a time come for it, which banners I shall raise. And so, I will choose to represent my opinions and answers under 3 banners of communication. I will call them censored, proper, and honest. Censored opinions and answers will be my opening statement. No honesty can truly be communicated without this first being communicated. One way to interpret censored is that no part of my honest opinion will be communicated within my statements. If I have feelings on a particular matter, none of them will be communicated within the opening statements. This will reduce the likelihood of anyone making premature claims regarding my beliefs. As an individual human being that wishes to showcase themselves for the purpose of human psychological studies, it is important that people understand my intentions and the reasons for why I think the way I do. To lose my reputation to a premature understanding of my beliefs is not something I can afford. However, I may not be able to determine the difference between mature, premature, and immature claims. A negative claim could have disastrous consequences for myself, even resulting in death. But if I am psychotic, I can't afford to directly counter such claims. You see, the claimants may very well be within their humane right to slay me for my beliefs. I will always maintain the right to correct my statements if a communication error has occurred. But this is not my world. It is humanity's world, and so long as humanity has the power, they may choose to enact any manifesto that supports their beliefs and restricts my freedoms. So one interpretation of censored can translate to keeping people from preconceptions regarding my honest opinions. But there's more. Censored can also mean to isolate sources of information that make up opinion. I've mentioned before that I am not a very knowledgeable individual. My censored answers and opinions are meant to isolate factors that make up my honest answers and opinions. My censored answers and opinions clearly identify what information I have available to me and what information I am currently capable of comprehending. The intention is to clearly communicate the parameters under which my honest opinion and answer are formulated. I'd also like to point out that my censored communication isn't intended to deceive or mislead my audience, as the concept of censorship may imply. My opening communication is censored from my emotional honesty by providing parameters under which my emotional honesty can be better understood. I'd also like to point out that my censored opinion doesn't have to be accepted as universally true. In fact, if the parameters of my censored opinion or answer are unsupported, then I can simply be classified as psychotic without risking negative backlash from my audience. Reasonably, if my opinions are wrong or unsupported by humanity due to my parameters being miscalculated, then correcting the parameters could change the opinion as a whole. This means that humanity is less likely to interpret my opinions and answers to questions as hostility, which could be egregiously condemned, and more likely as misinformation, which is likely to be treated more favorably. And since I personally identify as psychotic, misinformation from me is more akin to a fictional story and likely will not result in hardliners attempting to have me executed. So, to summarize, my censored communication can protect me from numerous varying sources of information and also allow me to focus on the sources of information I base my opinion and answer on. And, as mentioned before, isolates my emotionally charged honesty from my opinions and answers until they are ready to be delivered. You could think of censored communication as being the objective table on which the subjective meal is served. Proper communication, whether it be opinion or answer, comes next. Proper communication connects my honest emotions with the objective sources of information that stir them to fluster. Proper communication has little to do with communicating emotion, as honest communication does, and more to do with creating a story that is comprehensible to the audience. Proper communication doesn't have to be a representation of reality. It can be a fictitious representation of what I perceive to be reality-based. Proper communication doesn't have to be a representation of reality. It can be a fictitious representation of what I perceive to be reality based on the parameters represented by my censored communication. Truth is important to censored communication because it sets up the framework for the overall opinion. But with proper communication, fabrication, something that may not be true, but has yet to be determined as such, can be used to create a more holistic comprehension regarding a particular topic. In proper communication, truth is not so important. What is important is the possibility of truth. I'd like to clarify. This is a three-step process by which I can safely deliver my honest opinions and answers to any awaiting audience. Censored communication creates a safe framework of knowledge as the seed for an initial creation of opinion. Proper communication creates a story that can expand from the knowledge I acquire, foundate my own comprehension, and provide opportunity for both my audience and myself to subjugate a topic. Once a framework and story have been established, my honest communication can be revealed. Honest communication could be considered my closing statement regarding my opinion or answer to a particular topic. Honest communication is made up of emotion, personal experiences, and origins of opinion. Honest communication generally has no filter, unless the emotions being represented are extremely complex. These emotions can be difficult to communicate safely outside of an individual human being's own mind without some form of context. Censored and proper communication hold the role of isolating and shaping that context so honest communication can be properly understood. similarly to how individuals gather, manipulate, and create reason for their own development. The purpose of honest communication is to provide an awareness of the existence of emotions, comprehensions, and opinions regarding the particular topics in question or under assessment. My purpose in presenting honest communication is to clarify my intentions regarding my feelings on My purpose in presenting honest communication is to clarify my intentions regarding my feelings on various topics while communicating my intent of non-hostility towards any affiliations or parties and their various alignments to the topic subjects. Honest communication doesn't have to be right or wrong, even if there are affiliations or parties that disagree with such a sentiment. With that said, I intend to communicate the existence of opinions. Perhaps I will use honest communication to discuss the depth and detail of the emotions I feel regarding a topic. Perhaps I will use honest communication to talk about the stories I use in proper communication and how my emotions factor into their creation. I would answer questions like, why did you expand on the topics in this way? Why use fiction to explain this part of the topic? If there were a reason for why I developed an opinion on the topic, I would answer it here in honest communication. Forever forward we march. This is GD signing off. Until next time.